Okay, so we're about to start the video tutorial, and I think the example that I was given was a scene selection, and then when you click the scene, it will load a room, and in that room you can select multiple objects. Okay, so let's start by adding 3D game objects to simulate the scene selection. So we have a cube, we have a sphere, remove that. Oh, by the way, this means that this is now the parent, so if you move both, they're gonna move together. So just drag and drop it out of there in the hierarchy. Okay, we add more capsule. Oh, let's move that. And cylinder. Okay, now I added these 3D objects to simulate the scene selection that I was given, that in the example that I was given. So for example, when we select a cube, we are going to load a room full of cubes. If we select a sphere, we're going to load a room full of spheres. Okay, so let's save this as a scene. Starting scene. Okay, that was just a Control S, by the way, to save the scene. Okay, now we're going to be adding the rooms. For example, we're gonna start with the room full of cubes. So we're going to create a new scene there. And here we're going to create the cubes. So let's say that's one, oops, it's one cube. I'm just gonna keep duplicating the cubes. There, so they all surround the camera. And we can also change their colors, and we can do that by making a material of different color. So create, no, that's wrong. Create material, let's say red, and then we're just going to change its material to red. Once that's done, you just drag the material from here to the object in question, like so. There. Let's make more colors. Let's try green. There, we're doing this so we can just differentiate between the different boxes. Okay, so in this room, we're going to start with the main camera and how to rotate it. We're going to go into scripting now. So here in the inspector, click add component, new script, and camera rotation. Just wait for that to get gray, and now we can double click it. Okay, so we're now in MonoDevelop, Unity's built-in coding software. In Unity, when you're going to refer to an object's properties, you will be using wait you will be using these values in the transform category in the inspector, and we're going to manipulate them via code. There. Okay, so we're going to start by declaring public variables. So public float cam rotate. Now, why public? We're going to use public because in the inspector, if we saved it properly, there should be a value. Yes, over there. You can see that there is now a blank field of camera rotation. We can add our own values there, so we don't need to add them via the code. But let's change the name to speed, and then a non-public float of cam rotate. Like that. I just forgot to open the window in my video recorder. So there. And if you check back in Unity, you'll see there. Now it updated to speed. Now back to the codes. So we're going to start to rotate the camera via inputs of keys A and D. So if input that get key, key code dot A. Now this means if I press the A button, it'll respond, and you can just copy paste that for D. Alternatively, we can also add a OR value, so we can use the left and right keys. Code dot. Right arrow there, here as well. There. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add values to the camera rotation. We're going to add the speed value. We're going to add the speed left and speed right. Again, since we have two variables here, if you check the Unity inspector of the main camera, there, now you have two separate values that appeared here. Now back to the codes. We're going to add a rotate X here, because we're going to need that for the rotation. So if we press the left arrow, rotate X would be equal to speed left. But if we press the right arrow, rotate X would be equal to speed right. Okay. Now, for the actual left and right rotation, transform dot local Euler angles is equal to new vector 3. Vector 3 because we have the x, y, and z axis since we are working in 3D. And then the setup of the next three values are x, y, and z. But since we're only going to be rotating it on its y-axis, we can leave the other two variables at 0. Oh, wait, my bad. Since we're working on y, let's change everything to rotate y. Okay, and copy the same line down there. Oh, wait, I forgot. It should be plus equals. So we can repeatedly add the value. Okay, so I actually cut the video, so it might be confusing, but if you check down here, I already put numbers that will determine how fast it will turn left or right. So if we start and if we press the A key, it should spin around to the left, and if we press the D key, it should spin around and go to the right. So it's working. You can see here in the scene view that there's a gigantic box that's spinning. That's actually your camera view. And if you check the rotation here in the inspector, it's actually adding it in values of 5. Okay, so we got the camera to spin properly. I'm gonna save this scene as cube room. So Control S. And now I'd save it as cube room. And for the sake of making the project folder look cleaner, we're gonna create a folder of materials to add the colors we made earlier. Oops. There. And another folder just to contain the script. Now the good thing about this camera rotation script is it's reusable. So if we reload the first scene, this one, and we find the main camera, if you drag and drop the script from here to here and put your own values, like again, -5 and 5, it will still work. But since we don't need it for the starting area, we are going to remove that. So save. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make the we're gonna make it so if we click a shape, if you click the cube, we're going to load this scene. Okay. So what we're gonna do is the clicking won't work unless we add a rigid body to the shape. So let's work on cube for now. So let's go to physics and then rigid body. Now you have to remember to turn this setting off, because if you don't turn it off, this will happen. Yeah, and we don't want the cube to fall out of the camera's range, or we won't be able to click it properly. So let's turn that off, so when you start, there, it stays in place. Now we're going to add a script for it. Let's call it cube select, and put it inside the script folder. Now let's open cube select. There, now we're in cube select. So you don't actually need the start and update values here. There. Okay, you don't need these two. You only need void on mouse down. And then okay, my bad. It should be on mouse down. So application dot load level should be cube room, and with that, let's go back to the Unity view. Go back to starting scene, yes, save. And then when we click on the cube, there, now we can load the other scene. So again, just to demonstrate, we are at starting scene, it says here, but when we click on the cube, we go back here. So it won't work on the other shapes, only on the cube. So there. It's also very important to note that the level switching won't actually work unless you go to File, Build Settings, and add these two here. So you can add them by clicking on the scene and then clicking Add Open Scenes. Add Open Scenes. Now we're gonna get to the more difficult part of user interface to display text whenever you click one of these objects. So let's go back here to the cube, and now we're going to add some scripts. Some user interface. So right click, add UI. First, you add the canvas. Okay, so in this canvas, this is important because every time you add a UI element like a text, it's really small, so double click this so you can see where it is. You can just enlarge it. There. So what my plan is, whenever you click an object, let's say here, it will go to the center of the screen, and then it will display the color of the object. So let's change this to, actually let's just leave it like that first. What we're gonna do first is we're going to select the object and then make it come to the center of the screen. Let's just leave the new text there. If this ever happens to you, you just go back to the inspector by clicking over there. Okay, so let's turn off the canvas temporarily and go back to the main camera. So what we want to do is we want to load a selected object in front of the camera, and the simplest way to do that is to add a game object and move it forward in front of the camera. Let's drag that out. No, actually, let's see. Let's call it target. So what we want this to do is, whenever we click an object, it will move to the target position, which is in front of the camera. Okay. Let's add a new script. Let's call it object select. And then let's open it in MonoDevelop. Okay, now we are here. So let's just wait for the red text to become... Okay, there we go. So now it's a public game object called target. Now again, public, so if we save it, oh, let's just add it to each cube first. There. Remove the duplicates and then there, that every cube now has a target, and then we're going to add this object into the cubes. So we just drag it here, drag this here, drag that, and then there. Now let's go back to the script. So again, we're going to use a void on mouse down. So when we click the object, we'll make it so it's form dot position is equal to target dot transform dot position. Now, when you use just transform dot position, it will always refer to the object. For example, I click on the red cube. Transform dot position will only refer to the red cube because it has its own script and it will not affect the other cubes. Now, when you add target dot transform dot position, the cube that we made here, since we added target as a public variable, we can just keep switching it. So if we were to add a cube here instead of the target, then this cube would travel to that cube. But that's not what we want. Go back to the script and we save it. Control S. Go back to Unity and see if it works. There! I was able to select it. It went here. Then I click here. It goes there. I click this and it goes there. I click this and it goes there. They all transferred to where my icon was earlier. But it's still pretty buggy because nothing got deselected. And even if I do this, it's gonna transfer. If I do this, it's gonna transfer. And so, and so. So we aim to debug that. According to the example that was given to me, it should be that when we select an object, we should be able to rotate the actual object when selected. So if we click here, we should be able to rotate this in full 360. So that's what we'll do first. And to do that, we go to the main camera and we're gonna add another script. So new script. Actually, let's just add it from here. I'm gonna call that object manager. So then we drag and drop it. Oops, drag and drop it to the camera, and then we open it in MonoDevelop. We're going to add a. Wait, it's not responding. About there, public bool select. OBJ selected. And at the start is equal to false. But what we want to do is when we select an object, we are going to disable the left and right camera turning functions. So when the scene loads, OBJ selected will be equal to false. So let's go back to Unity. So the plan is when we click this, we're going to manipulate the value of OBJ manager, and then camera rotation won't work if OBJ selected is equal to true. So let's try it out. Let's go back to MonoDevelop and go to Object Select. we're going to add another public game object, which is the object manager, and then here, object manager. Let's add the main camera. It might seem tedious, but that's because we're using public variables. Okay, so every cube now has object manager set to the main camera. Let's go back to the script. Okay, so the plan is when we click the cube, it will set object selected to false. So what we do is objman dot get component object manager dot, what was the name, obj selected is equal to true. Okay, so time to explain. When you use get component, you are referring to the objects inside the inspector. So if we use the get component cube mesh, we would refer to this. If we use get component box collider, we would refer to this. But since we use get component object select, the script name, we are now referring to this part. So back to the codes. That is now true. Let's open the camera rotation script and the update method. We're going to get component as well. So if get component object manager dot obj selected is equal to false, then we add a big bracket here. Now if you're wondering why this one's objman but this one does not, it's because if you check the inspector, the main camera has both scripts, so you don't actually need to find it via the public variable we used for the cubes earlier. So let's try it out. What should happen is when we select an object, we will no longer be able to turn the camera left and right. So it bugged. Let's check the codes again. What we can do is we can debug.log to check the value of this. So it is set to false. Let's see if this will work. Unexpected error file. Okay, so that works. So we seem to be having a problem here, and I already saw it. I forgot the additional equals. Okay, now that should work. Yes, okay, but when we select, we are no longer able to move left and right. So, let's go check. No, wait. So we've already proven that we were able to disable the left and right camera controls. Now what we're going to do is we're going to back out from that object selection. But before we can do that, we need to go back to the object select script, which is here. We are going to record the position, the original position of the cube. So when we back out of the selection, it will go back to where the original object was. Okay, so we're going to use vector 3. Okay, and it's equal to transform that position. Now I'm going to very quickly check if that will cause any errors. And no, it did not cause any errors, so we may proceed properly. Wait, I wasn't able to save it, so let's go check that again. Yes, okay, it appears to be working. Okay, so what we do is every time we back out of the original position, we are going to put the cube back into orig position. So we add another boolean variable, and it's equal to false. So what we can do now is if selected, we can transfer this here and just make it so selected is equal to true. Else is orig false. Then we're going to back out by doing this. If input dot get key keys dot keycode dot backspace, if selected is equal to true, and we can copy this. Oh no, we can copy that and also set that to false. So if I'm not mistaken, this should work. So let's try it. So again, we are able to rotate the camera. When you select an object, it's bugging. We need to fix something in the codes. We can just make it into a nested if and see if that will fare any better. Like so. Let's go back and check. And press backspace. There. We did it. It works. So you click, you can't move left or right. Then you press backspace, it goes back to where it was earlier. Even as far as it is. See A and D, I'm not sure if you can hear on the keyboard. But if you press backspace, it works. But I think there is one more bug. Because if I do this and click another object, that's gonna happen. So to fix this bug, we're gonna go back to the codes. And this time, we're going to be using a static variable. Now, why a static variable? Oops. No, not that. It's so, between all of the cubes, this value, they will only be referring to one of these values instead of one of these values per cube. And I don't know if that made any sense, but trust me, it's gonna work. I tried it off camera. So, only is equal to false. If not only is equal to true. Yeah, and the backspace. So if I'm not mistaken, this should work. Yeah, see, I keep clicking on this and it won't override the blue cube at the center. Let's try this. It won't. How about the other? This one and this one doesn't work. That's because we use a static variable. What we want to happen now is when we select the object, like so, we press the WASD keys or the arrow keys, it's gonna rotate. So let's try that out. And go to the codes. There. So we're gonna be working within the is selected bracket. And we're gonna add more variables. And we're gonna get our camera rotation script line, this one, as a reference since we already have it done. Okay, there. So and we're going to very quickly check how the object actually rotates in the inspector, so we know what variables we must change. So Oh, I'm not allowed to do that. So let's go check here. So this rotates upwards. Actually, we'll be able to get full 360 using only X and Y. So let's do that. Let's use this as 0. And if input dot get key code dot a or left arrow. Minus equals 5, and then you can copy those lines and then reverse it. Plus. You can also do it for the up and down. So W and then up arrow and then S down arrow. So let's try it out. Oh, I'm so sorry. Here's what I added. So I added a float, rotation X and rotation Y, and I just added this in the selected if statement. So this is what it looked like earlier, and I just added that. So I'll give you a moment to study what it does, and then we go back here. So we select that object, and we are not able to do this. Full 360, or with the arrow keys. And if you press the backspace, it goes back. But it was a little bug. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to the codes. So, and we're going to store its original rotation. Let's try this. Orig rotation. Oops, orig rotation. Orig rot. So we'll do transform dot local Euler angles. So when we press the backspace, transform dot local Euler angles is equal to orig. So let's try this. I select an object, give it some rotations, and backspace. Yeah, it went back to its original position. So we're almost done. The only thing that we need to do now is display some text. I'm going to rename the cubes based on their color. So white cube, red cube, blue cube, and green cube. And now when we select, we are going to turn this canvas on, so we'll be able to see the new text. Let's see if it's aligned. Oh, it's just a code error. Okay, so let's check this. Yeah, okay, it's aligned properly. So let's go back to the codes. If selected, so we're going to add a string here. String color. So color is equal to game object dot name, and then game object dot find canvas. No, wait, that is wrong. So let's do this instead. And then the start method, let's copy that. Set active is equal to false. And for this to work, we're going to need to leave this on. Oh, we have an error. Unity Engine it's game object dot find. Oh, it should be capital game object dot find canvas. So let's go back, and with that simple code, when we start, you can actually double click that to find the error. Set active. My syntax is wrong, so let's change it to this. Go back and check if there are any more errors. This should turn off. Yeah, okay, it got turned off, so it's working now. Let's go back to the codes. So what we do is, so conv.setActive is equal to true, so we turn on the canvas every time we select an object. And then now we're going to find the text. So txt is equal to game object.find, and what's the name? Text. Okay, so it's just text. Let's find text. So txt dot get component get component so we can try and find its component. Wait, before we do that, we're going to need to add the UI library. .ui, and now we can do that. So component and then wait, txt is equal to color. Oh wait, I think I have it in reverse. I think I got it now. So let's try it out. Okay, so we select an object. Object reference not set to instance of object. Okay, so we do have an error. And what? The error was line 19. It's this one. I see. It's this one. So we should try it again. So from what I'm understanding, it's trying to find this canvas.set active is equal to true. But the problem is, since it was turned off, it can't be found anymore. I think I finally spotted the mistake. I forgot to add the proper reference here. And I think that should be okay. No, wait. Let's move this here and then turn this off and see if it works. So you have the white cube, backspace, turn, pick this up. No, that does not work. Does the white cube still work? Yes. And I think I found the error again. backspace. No. So we got one of the cubes to work, but not the others. So I'll try to figure out what's wrong first. Since we only got one to work, I feel like it would be best to change how the entire displaying of the text works. So instead of doing this, we're going to add the text displaying function to the object manager in the main camera. So let's get rid of this. This time only object manager will be in charge of displaying the text. So let's add the .ui and then public game object txt here. So I removed everything that had to do with the public game object here. Let's also remove this. Here. Let's go back to Unity and check. Yes, there. Now it's there. So we drag that down over here and we go back to the codes. Set active, we turn it off first. Then if obj selected text.set active is equal to true. So right now we're going to add a placeholder text here, which should turn off when we start the Unity project. Yeah, it did. And if I select one object, it should display the placeholder. But I forgot to turn it off. So let's do that. Set active is equal to false. Now we check that. Yes. Yes. Yep. And yep. Okay, so that works. Now we go back to the codes, and what we're going to do is we're going to add another public string text value that we're going to be accessing from the object select script. So this one, I'm going to copy this since it's already formatted correctly. But instead of obj selected, we're going to be use txt val is equal to color, which is this, by the way. So we save that, go back to Unity and check if this works. It did not change. And that's because I haven't yet fixed it in the code. So we go back to the codes and object manager. Here we get the get component again, text, dot text is equal to text file. Save. Let's try to run. Yes. Next, blue cube, green cube, and red cube. And I guess that concludes the tutorial, even though there were a lot of off-camera problems. Let's go back to the starting scene. So as you can see, the other objects don't work, but if you go to the cube, you enter the cube room, you can look around, check the white cube, go back, check the blue cube, go back, green cube. And for this to end this tutorial, I'm also going to upload this publicly to my Dropbox so you can access the source code. Okay. Thanks for watching.